So I think NaLyssa Smith may have answered her own question. She seems to be confused as to why some Fever fans aren't particularly fond of her. Well, she posted once again yesterday, and she deleted it since, but somebody wrote Fever fans having smoke for NaLyssa is so odd. I have not seen one actual solid reason. She's like, dog, with laughing emojis. And look, she's just having fun online. It's not a big deal. But this sort of thing doesn't quell it, right? She didn't have to quote tweet that. it's it's not anything egregious. It's not anything that makes me angry, but it's evidence in a sense of, you know, doing too much, I suppose would be the phrase I would use. Doing too much. And look, NaLyssa Smith and Fever fans, few things. Number one, um, there's some real critiques of her play, and that's what bothers me the most. She let Angel Reese just bully her around and score all over her in that one Sky game. And Angel does things well on the basketball court, but get her own buckets is not necessarily one of them. And that was the most authoritative offensive performance I saw from her all year. So that's a basketball critique. Your defense got to be better than that. I also sometimes saw what looked like effort vary from NaLyssa Smith when the games where she was locked in, she's grabbing boards and stuff. And then I question her decision making on the court. Like when she has the ball in her hands, I get concerned immediately. Like something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen, something's gonna happen. She can turn it over. Because I didn't think she made the best decisions with the basketball. So those are all the basketball related issues. Then there is, of course, her relationship with Dejanay Carrington, which she is allowed to have. I hope they are together forever and happy if that's, what fulfills both of them. But it's not it's a almost WNBA exclusive thing for this sort of relationship to happen between um, opponents, right? Where two opponents are dating. I don't think I've ever seen that necessarily in sports before. Maybe it's been somewhere, but it's not common. Let's put it that way. And when the opponent also happens to be an instigator against your star player and your team, calling out the fan base, obviously taking on the assignment of Clark, which she's, I think a lot of ways, Dejanay, that opening game, she made a name for herself the way she played defense. It's what you should do. I'm not critical of that at all. You should have a chip on your shoulder, go out there, defend, and show everybody that you can lock her down. That's cool. But Dejanay also was always on social media and seemingly stirring stuff up. And not just, then there was the eye poke, which took things to a whole nother level. I'm not revisiting all of that, but NaLyssa Smith being her girlfriend and Clark and the Fever's teammate does make that a bit of a situation where Fever fans aren't going to be like, yay, nuptials, flowers, and all those things in the midst of that. Now, when it's not the Connecticut Sun, that's basically irrelevant. But because, they're joking around about the eye poke on video and because people question, how NaLyssa's going to play in those games, that makes it a thing. And then NaLyssa also doesn't leave it alone. Hence what I just said before. She doesn't leave it alone. Even when she said, I think Chelsea Gray made a nice pass. All of a sudden, she's like, who's the best player? Who's the best passer in the WNBA? It's interesting because it seems like Smith was resigned to leaving the Fever until Christy Sides got fired. And now she wants to stick around with the Fever. We'll see if that feeling is mutual. Stephanie White should have good insight to this, having coached Dejanay Carrington and having observed that and knowing what makes Dejanay tick. And then, as a basketball mind, what she thinks of NaLyssa's game, because NaLyssa does have talent. And none of this stuff is terrible or awful or, worthy of like some sort of outrage and anger, but it is the kind of thing people want off their basketball team. And I don't think that's, out of pocket to say. And, look, there are benefits to being on the Indiana Fever. There's no question. Look at Lexi Hull now. She's got all sorts of advertisements and promotion. So, with a new coach and a fresh start, I would understand why NaLyssa Smith would now want to stick around if she didn't before, especially if her beef was predominantly with Christy Sides. But between the mistakes she makes on the floor and this tenuous relationship with the fan base, personally, I think it's better for both parties to move on.